So for the past little while, it's been very cold, and I think it's about +1 right now. The snow is still powdery, but it just got to +1. It was like still -4 last night. So the project I have is I want to make this so that I'm going to add a piece that has a blade going the other direction, so that when you split a piece of wood, it'll split it into 4 chunks instead of 2 chunks. But I'll make it so you can take it off. So if you're working with, really big ones, then you can still just cut it up with more. You have more power with just the one. So, and that pile of wood is completely gone. Well, almost. But in the cold snaps, it got to about -30. So we had to burn a lot of wood. So yeah, I'm gonna pull this out of here with a tractor. Another thing I haven't made a video on is this grapple bucket over here. This bucket here, I did a big job on that, and I think this is only the second welding job I've ever done with the arc welder. And see, I got scrap steel and put supports on there, and then here, this looks like a solid chunk of inch-thick steel, but this is actually, you can almost see it. It's actually flat bar here, and then here, and here, and then I got an inner race of a bearing. It's hard steel, tool steel maybe. Put that in there, and then just arc welded all the parts together, and then ground it down. And you can't even tell that was different parts that were welded together. And then, this here I was gonna put a support there, but then I realized I just welded that, and then I had to cut it because it doesn't, the cylinder has to go here. And that's a bit of a mistake there, but yeah, and then the flat bar all along here and there. And then this one, you can see how bent this was, and it just crippled these ends. That one I built a new one. This one, I saved it and straightened it, and then I put some supports, and I just put like nuts and bolts in there and just melted them all together with the arc welder. And then there's more support here, and I don't think that will ever break. There's a few more things I could do to it, like this thing. I should put like more of these, maybe longer in here, and well, that one's there, and then on that side too. And really, there should be like a triangle in here on both sides. So yeah, you get like a triangle here and a triangle there. And then the other couple of things I could do is I had wanted to put a spike here, so then you could have a spike and then you could it would kind of help to get under the logs. I probably don't need that, but the other thing my uncle was saying is, in here, it looks thick, but it's not thick enough for logs. So what I could do is get a piece of flat bar or rebar even. Rebar and just put it along there and bend it. Like you can see, it's already a little bit warped. So that needs, I may or may not do that today, but yeah. And then also this thing, that's a bit bent. If, I'll maybe change that or something. But yeah, ever since I did this fix, I didn't film it. I kind of wanted to, but I didn't have the equipment. I didn't have a good camera, and this was only about 2 years ago, I think. And it's been working pretty good since. The other design flaw this has is the hoses are always going bad for no reason. And we've replaced so many hoses on here, and they just go bad. So they're not protected enough. I think they're probably not really designed right, because these things are in the way. There should be a cover there, and they should be, like, this shouldn't be all floppy. That should be like that under a cover. So there's a few other design flaws. And my uncle welded these Kubota ears on here. This grapple bucket was made for a skid steer, but these Kubota ears were welded on there, and then we use it on our tractors. So it's been pretty good. We haven't used it that much since I fixed it, but before it was broken for years, and then we just use it. Used it, and I was pulling post out with it, and then those ears bent the first time, and then we parked it, and then I tried to bend them back. Didn't really work, we just kept using it bent, and then it was just kind of just a problem. And then I was asking my uncle to do it, and he never had time to do it, and then I just did it. And I also worked on a snow blade that's up there, and that was the first welding project. I did some work to that. And the Kubota ears need to be welded on that blade. But, yeah. I just found these. I think these are better. If they're long enough. And they are. That's a common problem with this thing. It just stops for no reason. Don't buy cheap welders. You gotta spend the money and buy good ones. I think that should be fine. This is how I'm gonna do that. I think that's the way Andrew did it. Andrew Camerata, the famous guy. I'm gonna see if I can accomplish the same thing. My plasma cutter is not. It's not able to cut through this. It's not like the thicker stuff it can do. You know, that's what it was rated to do. But it's actually able to do a lot thicker than that. It can do about like that. That's probably about a centimeter. And this is like an inch. Dog barks at snow that falls off the roof. The snow falls off those chunks. Sometimes they're big too, though, or the snow all over the roof will fall off. And then she bites it. It's a funny thing for a dog to do. He's not even scared. Like the entire roof sometimes, it'll slide and then shoot off. Like with the barn over here. That barn. The snow, like from up top, it'll shoot off. And yeah. And then the dog goes crazy and he barks at it. She's not even scared that she's gonna get covered. She just barks at it anyway. tried to put the chain around it because the ball hitch doesn't fit. That's what homemade bumpers are for. Cougar! Okay, so right after we rolled it in here, I was going to test it, but then the battery died. And I did test it, and it worked for a few pieces, but then I realized the angle on the two metal plates, the white metal plates, they were too wide. So in the next clip, I'm fixing that. The problem with this is, you can see this thing is not sharp enough. You know, I tried to grind that, I tried to put weld on it, but it didn't work. So I think what I have to do is weld that on there and then sharpen that. I think that's how to fix that. This blade here, that's not too bad. Check this out. This metal thing is stuck in there. It just like glued itself in there. There we go. No glue, nothing. It just like froze on there or something. Stuff is pretty handy too. Anti-spatter spray. And check this out. I think there's a capacitor in there. See, it stays running while it's unplugged. And then it dies. But yeah, that's what I love about these is these here, the wire. The wire just seems to work better for welding than the arc welding electrodes. That wire fed welder, perfect weld right there. That's actually one of the best welds I've ever done with it. There's a hole there. But yeah, that blade is nice and sharp. People might be wondering why I don't just use a flap wheel like this to clean this table up. But the reason I don't clean this table up is because, if you have lots of really polished bare metal, then welding spatter will stick to that, and that would be quite annoying, and then I'd always have to be brushing it off. But this is like an old, like an oxidized steel, steel powder. From working on it for so long, it's had that weird coating on it, but I like that, because that way the welding spatter doesn't stick to the table. Now I think this thing will work good. What's kind of weird is this control is broken, but when you push the control that way, it's wounded. It's not supposed to be doing that, but the cylinder will come back on its own, and that's actually what splitters they have controls that are designed to do that. This one, you just got to make sure this doesn't come all the way back, or it'll, cause compression in the cylinder. It's not going to damage it, it'll just make it stop. But yeah, so this control is actually broken, but it's almost better like that. this thing seems to work good.
Yeah. Is it chipped? Is it holding a...
Where?
Is it still sharp?
Yeah, it's still sharp. It's if it were to get dulled, the problem with this thing would go up against it. That's the only thing you have to be careful of. But that doesn't. How perfect this thing is. You can just get your. This is from a car, and you just get the oil and pour it in a funnel. I mean, I could probably make that better, but and then you can just. I guess if you just leave it like that, and then let it drain in there. So I guess tomorrow we'll do some bucking. I plan to do some bucking on the trailer, but you know there was a pile of wood in the way anyway, so now I can just cut a whole bunch more, and yeah, and that thing goes so much. It goes twice as fast, which is amazing. I'm so glad I made that thing, and I didn't have to buy anything to do it. And that's the case with a lot of things because it takes an hour to go to town, and you know I can't drive, so yeah. And I also don't have a pickup truck, and my uncle's truck is kind of too fancy to get. We're trying not to use that one as a rough truck. These guys want to keep it nice, the blue Dodge. But the truck I think I would inherit is we have an old red Ford F-250 down there. It's a 98, and it's got the manual four-wheel drive, and I think it has a stick shift, but it's a manual one. It's not computerized. So I think the stick shift is connected to a cable that's connected to the transmission. So that's a good truck. But the torque converter went bad on it, and I think that would probably end up being my truck if I get a truck. But it needs a torque converter, which is going to cost them. I'm not a big-time mechanic. That's not something I can do. No, I barely know anything. I barely know everything about little engines. Someone would ask me what job I have, I'd probably say a welder or an engineer, because that's probably what I'm best at. But yeah, I guess we can end this video on that thing I made. I don't even know what to call it. It's like I guess it's a double direction blade for a splitter. And it did well.